They called it the Chronos Key, though that term was only whispered in the most secretive historical circles. At first, the phrase appeared in a few obscure texts that seemed little more than nonsense scribbles by long-dead monks. People dismissed the references as archaic poetic metaphors or else some allegory of time's power over humanity. But centuries later, new evidence emerged that those old manuscripts had astronomical coordinates encoded in their pages. The concept that an ancient Earth myth could bear a cosmic secret, one that hinted at finding a gateway to limitless energy, was too tantalizing to ignore. There was only a single mention that linked the Chronos Key with a place once considered purely imaginary: the Garden of All Times. In classical Earth lore, this garden was a paradise of rolling green hills, golden trees, and shimmering lakes untouched by darkness or decay. Myth spoke of it existing where yesterday meets tomorrow, though no one had the faintest idea what that meant. Yet a cunning scholar, Dr. Shizuo Mori, spotted the pattern. The quaint descriptions in these ancient texts correlated strangely well with gravitational anomalies in the Atlas sector, a star system 600 light-years from Earth. The coded coordinates, if interpreted correctly, pointed to a particular planet bathed in pulsar radiation, where time bent in unusual ways. Driven to mount an expedition, Dr. Mori spent years convincing Earth's Interplanetary Council to fund a deep space voyage to the Atlas sector. She endured countless raised eyebrows and sneers. But her meticulous research, combined with partial calculations from the revered astrohistorian Jame Sung, finally swayed the council. A crew was assembled, consisting of scientists, explorers, and a handful of restless military officers meant to keep everyone safe. Few believed in actual mythic power. They were far more convinced that her coordinates might at most reveal a new energy resource. That in itself was worth the staggering cost of interstellar travel. The starship Meridian launched, its engines humming through the blackness between solar systems. On board, the passengers settled into their roles. Captain Kieran Holt, a veteran of the Orion conflicts, accepted Dr. Mori's quest with stoic tolerance. "I'll get you there, you learn your truths, and I'll get you back, assuming nothing tries to eat us." Commander Sloan was more skeptical, his posture rigid whenever Dr. Mori spoke of ephemeral legends. "We're scientists," he would say. "I operate on evidence, not folklore." Despite skepticism, curiosity crept into everyone's thoughts. Even Sloan found himself reading the old texts late at night, images of the garden blossoming in his mind. When Meridian arrived in the Atlas sector, they discovered a swirling tapestry of cosmic anomalies, pulsars throbbing in the distance like ghostly beacons. Their computerized scans revealed a planet with inexplicably stable orbits near two conflicting gravitational wells. This uncharted world had swirling violet oceans and landmasses that flickered under electromagnetic interference. The raw data unsettled everyone. Its day cycle was wildly unpredictable, sometimes shifting from dawn to night in an instant. Dr. Mori, almost breathless, thought this phenomenon could explain the references to a place where yesterday meets tomorrow if time itself folded there. Entering the atmosphere set off a cacophony of alarm bells. Instruments shorted out, compasses spun wildly, and the pilot wrestled with the yoke as if it were possessed. Despite the chaos, Captain Holta guided them to a precarious landing on a plateau dotted with black-needled trees. Once they disembarked, the team felt an eerie silence. The air was unnaturally still, tinted with a metallic taste. Something about the environment nudged their associative brains with images of the old manuscripts, yet none could fully articulate why. They established a small base. Over the next few days, as Dr. Mori deciphered more fragments, they discovered glowing runes carved into a canyon wall nearby. A battered drone sent into the canyon's depths transmitted cryptic hieroglyphs, stylized suns and moons circling each other, parted by bolts of lightning. Each symbol bore a strong resemblance to the initial references to the Chronos Key. Convinced that they were on the verge of a major discovery, Dr. Mori and the team prepared to descend on foot, certain the canyon would unlock the next clue. As they traversed the canyon floor, the temperature soared, scorching them mentally and physically. Yet after only a few steps, the heat vanished, replaced by frigid air as though the seasons had changed in an instant. Each member of the team experienced minor disorientation, watches malfunctioned. Digital readouts blinked with nonsense data. "We should turn back," Commander Sloan insisted. But Dr. Mori refused, her determination fueled by what she saw etched on the canyon's far wall. A large gate-like formation with intricate markings. She recognized them from a nearly forgotten Earth artifact, the Rosetta Key of Kyoto, rumored to decode ancient runes. They stood in awe, confronted by living myth. A gentle hum permeated the canyon, a vibration felt in their chests more than heard. Dr. Mori touched the stone, her fingers tracing the engraved lines. As she did, the hum intensified, and her mind was flooded with half-formed images. A towering arch of light, swirling cosmic dust, and synchronous pulses dancing around a central axis. She reeled back, nearly collapsing in dizziness. "I saw something," she murmured. "I think the gateway's real. The garden is real." Sloan frowned, stepping closer. "A gateway to what? If there's real power here, we must alert the Council. This is beyond our scope." But Dr. Mori shook her head. "We can't risk them sending a military contingent. That might plunder anything they deem valuable. We need knowledge first. We must proceed carefully." The tension between them grew. For some, visions of harnessing cosmic power turned to visions of control over others simply yearned for scientific breakthroughs that might benefit humanity. Yet a sense of awe, of stepping onto sacred ground, began to unify opinions. Back at base camp, they found something extraordinary. The data logs recorded incremental time differentials in the environment. Seconds elongated and shrank unpredictably. If harnessed, such fluctuations could theoretically create near-limitless energy, the kind that might drive entire civilizations. Furthermore, Dr. Mori's team believed these fluctuations could bend reality in ways once considered impossible. Time travel, instantaneous healing, or forging stargates across the galaxy. In the days that followed, a few members of the crew began experiencing strange dreams. Corporal Reyes dreamed of standing in a lush paradise with golden waterfalls and fruit-laden vines. She heard a resonant chorus of voices telling her, "Open the gate and behold creation's tapestry." These hallucinations intensified, and soon people awoke disoriented, convinced they had glimpsed the legendary garden of all times. Captain Holt had privately admitted to Dr. Mori that he dreamed of the same place. "I saw a throne of light at the center. Like it was calling me," he whispered, a tremor in his voice. As the illusions persisted, Commander Sloan grew uneasy. He was not seeing these visions himself and suspected a form of electromagnetic interference was manipulating their minds. Tensions within the camp rose each time Dr. Mori mentioned pressing deeper into the planet's interior. Even the typically unshakable Captain Holt displayed an almost rapturous behavior, talking about destiny and how they were chosen. Some began quietly questioning whether the expedition itself was forging a path to madness. Meanwhile, Dr. Mori's research brought her to a breathtaking hypothesis. The nature of time here wasn't just fluid, it was layered. Like stacked sheets of paper, past and future coexisted within the planet's unique gravitational anomalies, giving any observer the ability to see shimmering echoes of events yet to happen or that had long since passed. If the Chronos Key indeed existed, it might serve as a locking mechanism, controlling these layers. The garden of all times could be the gravitational nexus, the heart of it all. To fully unveil it, they might have to use the gate in the canyon to travel to the planet's core, or another reality altogether. Despite Sloan's objections, the majority supported the push forward, enthralled by the possibility of rewriting fundamental physics. Preparations were made for a final trek to the canyon gate, armed with newly tuned scanning devices and a plan to replicate the carved patterns to unlock the stone. Dr. Mori suspected the gate responded to specific frequencies or energy pulses if the runes were activated in the correct order. But no one knew what dangers lurked on the other side, or whether it was truly a portal at all. The morning they departed, the planet was awash in perpetual twilight. Luminescent algae glowed over rock faces, painting the world in ghostly neon. The environment seemed half dream, half nightmare, as if time itself was stalling. When they reached the canyon gate, a faint silver shimmer along the edges suggested heightened energy. Dr. Mori aligned their devices and began inputting the sequence. Strange pulses echoed, each resonating with an otherworldly pitch, causing everyone's nerves to tingle. A bright crack appeared in the rock, expanding into a swirling vortex of purples and blues. One by one, they stepped through. Their eyes took a moment to adjust before they realized they no longer stood on the canyon floor. Instead, they were in a corridor of living crystalline walls that pulsed with each heartbeat like vibration. A labyrinth stretched ahead, and each step resonated with an ancient echo. Their reading spiked wildly, the concept of standard space-time breaking down. They ventured forward, hearts pounding. Light patterns in the crystal offered half glimpses of the garden, rolling meadows, shimmering lakes, radiant suns. But each time they tried to focus, the images vanished like a trick of the mind. When they finally emerged into a vast chamber, they discovered an enormous, gently rotating ring, suspended in midair. Runes glimmered over its metallic surface, forming a tapestry of symbols, reminiscent of Earth's earliest languages. At the center was a radiant orb, swirling in a spectrum of color impossible to describe. "Is this?" Captain Holt murmured. "The Chronos key," Dr. Mori said in awe. She could feel its gravitational presence distorting the air around them. The ring was not just a mechanism, but a cosmic lock that bound time's layers together. Commander Sloan waved to the scientists. "Check for trapdoors or hidden hazards," he barked, but none were needed. The only hazard was standing right in front of them, pure possibility. Hesitantly, Dr. Mori approached. Her entire body vibrated as if the orb's energy was rewriting her cellular structure. The ring's symbols glowed brighter, responding to her presence. In the hushed silence, she rested a trembling hand on the orb's surface. A surge like lightning coursed through her, and in a blink, her mind expanded beyond linear time. She saw Earth's ancient robed monks inscribing the first references to the Chronos key. Cosmic wars fought by unknown civilizations, and the council back home, fidgeting in their chambers, oblivious to the secret that lay out here. Her consciousness snapped back, and she stumbled. "It's a map," she whispered, "a map across realities, across timelines. This is how some advanced civilization once controlled infinite energy. They had the power to shape their destiny, to reorder timelines as they wished. The weight of responsibility hit her. If they took this knowledge back to Earth, it could spark wonders or cataclysms. The potential for unending clean energy might unify humanity, or it might become a weapon, tearing galaxies apart. She swallowed hard as her colleagues, wide-eyed, enthralled, gazed at her for guidance. Captain Holt, eyes aglow with an almost supernatural conviction, stepped forward. "We must claim it. We can't let others misuse it." He reached out, but the orb flared brilliantly. An unseen force knocked Holt back, crackling arcs of energy dancing around his body. He lay dazed, though still alive. "It's rejecting us," Commander Sloan spat, aiming his sidearm at the orb instinctively. "What good is power if it kills us in the process?" Dr. Mori quickly intervened, her voice quavering but resolute. "This isn't about conquering. It's about unity, about understanding." The ring trembled, and an ancient voice seemed to echo inside everyone's skull, a layered presence of countless souls, or maybe the planet itself manifested. A phrase repeated. "Balance must be kept. One must give to receive." Time flickered around them. They saw glimpses of possible futures, some bright with planetary harmony, and others dark with starships battling for cosmic dominion. The silent illusions hovered, then dissipated, leaving each person's heart pounding in confrontation with the enormity of choice. Dr. Mori recalled the old texts, which spoke of an offering of compassion. Several lines mentioned sacrifice, Only those who surrender illusions of mastery may partake of boundless creation. She turned to the group. We must relinquish our desire to control this power, or else it will remain beyond our grasp. At first nobody moved, the words too alien for minds filled with hope and ambition. But Captain Holt, still trembling from his near-death shock, took a step forward. I accept, he said, voice wavering. I want to see humanity thrive. I can live without the desire to own it. Let us learn, not dominate. His heartfelt conviction rippled through the ring. Gradually, the swirling orb dimmed, revealing a stable glow. Following his example, one by one, they each voiced a willingness to release the hunger for mastery, to approach the Chronos Key with respect. Flames of color danced across the crystalline corridor, as if responding to this unity. At last, the orb pulsed gently. Dr. Mori brought her hands close, feeling the energy ripple between her fingers. A silver tendril of light wrapped around her wrists, and she felt the ring's presence enter her consciousness again. This time, there was no violent shock. Instead, knowledge flowed. How to manipulate quantum folds, to tap star energy without depleting it, to shift events in time by mere degrees. Enough to seed entire civilizations with sustainable power. Enough to shape a future free of war, if they chose to use it wisely. When Dr. Mori opened her eyes, tears glistened on her cheeks. The ring's runes no longer flickered in partial sequences. They lit in a steady, harmonious rhythm. The expedition team fit together like puzzle pieces in a cosmic design. Each role was crucial. The rigorous skepticism of Sloan, the protective leadership of Holt, the scientific curiosity of Mori, and the faith of the others who believed in forging a better path. They could learn from the Chronos Key without succumbing to greed. Returning through the corridor, it felt as though they were walking through eras of Earth's ancient past and possible futures. They witnessed fleeting images. The first starships leaving Earth, expansions to other planets, resource wars. Then, a shining city afloat in space, powered by a radiant core. They heard the voices of ancestors chanting, "Safeguard the gate," and saw children in a utopian realm, holding luminous seeds that could heal entire worlds. The visions receded as they emerged back into the canyon, the swirling portal closing behind them. The air felt lighter and full of promise. Outside, the planet's chaotic day-night cycle had stabilized. A dim, warm sun had broken through the roiling skies, illuminating the black-needled trees. Base Camp's instruments now showed a stable environment. In place of warnings and malfunction codes, the screens displayed consistent readings. Time was no longer slipping away erratically. It was as if the planet had been set right by their acceptance of cosmic balance. The expedition released collective breaths they hadn't realized they were holding. Commander Sloan, once so doubtful, cracked a rare smile. Perhaps everything we believed about forcing the universe to yield its secrets was backward, he muttered. Maybe we had to prove we were willing to share with it, not just take. Captain Holt nodded, seeming years younger in that moment. Corporal Reyes and the others buzzed with excitement, eager to document everything they had experienced. Dr. Mori was careful to note every detail in her log, though she knew no mere words or instruments could truly capture what they had witnessed. They spent weeks studying the environment, measuring the stabilized gravitational fields, verifying the planet's influence on local space-time. Each day offered new revelations. Plants with genetic markers previously unrecorded, mineral deposits that hinted at refined matter. And through it all, the gate in the canyon remained silent, as though content that these explorers had passed its test. It stood as an interface to the Chronos Key, waiting for them whenever they were ready to learn more. The illusions of the fabled garden had faded from their nightly dreams, replaced by vivid possibilities of how humanity's future might unfold when guided by wisdom. Word eventually reached the Interplanetary Council that Meridian's mission had made a profound breakthrough. Speculative leaks suggested Dr. Mori and her team had found a method to generate near limitless power. The council demanded immediate demonstration. Hierarchs among the colonies jockeyed for position, each wanting a share of the rumored technology. Even the Terran Defense Force salivated at the prospect of weaponizing time. Through secure channels, Dr. Mori insisted that none of them truly understood the delicate balance. She wanted the council to adopt measures ensuring universal benefit rather than personal gain. The council started mobilizing scientific vessels, planning to swarm the Atlas sector in search of this new resource. Reports hinted at warships among them. When Meridian sensors detected an incoming fleet, the entire team felt dread. The planet sensed it too, or so they believed. The gravitational fields flickered again, almost in protest. Dr. Mori recognized a crucial choice: share the Chronos Key's secret responsibly, or allow an invasion that might break that delicate cosmic equilibrium. So she proposed a solution. Let selected ambassadors come and witness the phenomenon. Let them experience the ring's test of intention, as they had. Only then, if found worthy, might humanity's leaders harness the key's gifts. So the expedition prepared the gate for the council representatives, fervently hoping these newcomers would see beyond mere power. In a tense meeting, Captain Holted addressed the newly arrived delegates with measured gravitas. He recounted the near-oblivion incident when they tried to seize the Chronos Key. The delegates, senators, military generals, corporate moguls reacted with varying degrees of intrigue and impatience. Many could not fathom that a planet would test them. Some demanded the expedition simply hand over the technology. However, the delegates who tentatively ventured into the canyon with Dr. Mori found themselves confronted by the same illusions, the same intangible presence measuring their sincerity. Only those willing to humble themselves made it through the portal unscathed. Others were repelled, left trembling on the canyon floor. This demonstration revealed the key's protective nature. It simply would not yield to brute force or duplicity. Over time, enough honest minds among the delegates grasped the truth. The Chronos Key was a gateway not merely to raw energy, but to shared destiny. With a firm but respectful approach, Dr. Mori and her growing coalition crafted a plan to harness the key responsibly. The ring's secrets were slowly brought to Earth and the colonies, fueling a renaissance in clean energy. The precarious balance between knowledge and moral restraint became the driving ethic. Innovative breakthroughs in medicine, space travel, and planetary terraforming transformed entire star systems, yet always under the watchful eye of the key's guardians. Though conflicts still erupted, human ambition proved difficult to quell entirely. The very existence of the Chronos Key's test encouraged enough unity to prevent civilization-wide catastrophe. Over time, a new cultural paradigm emerged, revering not the illusions of absolute power, but the cooperation and humility needed to keep that power stable. The expedition members became shepherds of a new myth, living proof that the old stories from Earth contained the seeds of unimaginable wonders. Dr. Mori's name was etched into every school's textbooks, not as a conqueror, but a guiding voice who insisted on reverence for what lay beyond comprehension. Generations passed. New explorers continued to visit that remote planet in the Atlas sector. Standing at the threshold of the canyon gate, each traveler was reminded of how myth became reality, how the Garden of All Times was not a mere fancy, but the conceptual reflection of infinite possibilities made tangible. They would pass through the shimmering portal to stand before the Chronos Key, feeling the hume in their bone. Instead of reckless greed, they brought a sense of collective purpose, recalling all that had been learned in Dr. Mori's time. In the end, the ancient Earth myth did not just lead to unimaginable power, it led to an evolution of spirit. No single empire could claim absolute ownership of the key. No one mind could harness it alone. Its tests remained an enduring barrier against misuse, requiring each generation to renew its vow of respect and unity. In that sense, the Chronos Key was not just an ancient device, but a living testament to humankind's potential to transcend its darkest impulses. Through acceptance and understanding, even the wildest legends could transform into catalysts for benevolence. Such was the myth's final gift, a reminder that within every story, no matter how antiquated or impossible, there might rest a hidden path to sweeping change, a map not only across the stars, but within ourselves. Even millennia later, travelers and scholars alike would stand upon that plateau in the Atlas sector and gaze at the swirling violet skies. They would whisper of how the Chronos key had turned legend into reality and guided them to the threshold of ultimate power, tempered by wisdom. And in that quiet wonder, they would find hope for the future of all worlds.